Hi everyone. I trust you and your families are safe and well during this very unsettling time that we're in. This video may or may be a long one. I've got a lot of items to cover in my current build, which is 1071. Which I'm not planning to release until Jason releases the latest version of BigBox, which is currently in beta at the moment. So it may be a week or two out from now. But we'll get started. And like I said, I've got a lot of things to cover. And I'll try and go through it as quickly as possible, but at the same time, not too quick that that you're unable to follow what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll do my best. So let me see. I'll punch up the latest build, which is kind of hot off the press as of 7 o'clock this morning. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go through some of the things that I've added, and then I'll go through some of the things that I've fixed, and then I'll go through the whole slew of changes, okay? A lot of which is really kind of piggybacking what I had kind of introduced in the previous version, 1060. So let me start at the very top. And that would be on the main menu here. So I've added a utilities submenu, build fake ROM list. Now, because of the introduction of the creation of custom images or clear logos, as I had called them in 1060, I had received a couple of requests to provide the ability to create platform and game images from a collection that they don't even have. Okay, so an individual on the forum, Faeran, had indicated that there is actually a Launchbox mega database that is shipped with Launchbox, and it contains all the systems or platforms and all the games for those platforms that Launchbox is aware of. Okay, so we can actually use that database to create this set of fake ROMs. Okay, so I'll show you how this works. All right, so if I just select it, we get the notification down at the bottom right saying that it's building the fake ROM list, and this does take a while. This is kind of cool. Well, it's cool for those individuals that wish to take advantage of this. And like I said, this does take a while. There are literally tens of thousands of games in the database that this thing is ripping through right now. And I really hope you don't mind me vaping on camera. I've really had very little sleep. So let's see. And actually, one of the things I haven't actually listed here as a change, because it's not something that you're really going to pay much attention to. But while this process is actually running behind the scenes, this building of the fake ROM list, I can click on the creator window right here, and I can resize it, and I can click through the views, no problem, without interfering with this background process. So I have successfully managed to have some of these long-running tasks now running in its own separate thread, and therefore it doesn't interfere with the main creator window. So I was quite happy about that, and I've utilized that for a couple of things here. But like I said, it's not something that you're really going to pay much attention to, but it's a change that I made anyway. Did I mention this takes a long time? This is where I could do with some music. I guess I could edit this out in the once I finish recording the video. Okay, we're done. So it's built this fake ROM list, and if I just go up a level, it's placed it within the theme creator folder. Okay, and it's organized everything by platform. And we have 169 platforms here. And then when I click onto the platform folder, all the games known to that platform are listed. And they're nothing more than text files, and inside each text file, I'm just indicating what the game title is from Launchbox, and the Launchbox database ID, and I'll refer to this later on in the video. This information is not needed at all within the text file. It's just information that may or may not be useful to you, but from what I'm about to do, it's not necessary. These text files could contain a single space for what I'm about to do. So anyway, I have this list, and I'm just going to place it here, and for the time being I'm going to close the creator. I'm going to back out to this level, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to launch Launchbox. Okay, And actually this is a good landing spot right here for arcade. So for example, I wish to add some arcade games. Obviously these aren't ROMs, these are just pure text files. All I'm trying to do here is just to get Launchbox to recognize these as imported games, and therefore it will ask me if I wish to download all the metadata and associated imagery. Okay, so let's make it worthwhile and bring in something that is arcade related here. What do I like? That's the question. And I could go through this. What are some of my favorite games here? I've got tons. Well, don't have Battle Zone, there you go. It's a classic. So I'm just going to take this text file and drag it. And I'm saying it's a ROM, it's for arcade. I don't really care because it's not a ROM, I'm not going to be running anything. It thinks it's a ROM, but I'm just faking it out. I'll just say main for consistency's sake. Use the files in their current location. Yeah, sure. Would you like to download metadata? Absolutely. And I've checked everything. I'll just wait for this to confirm that I'm a registered user with EMU Movies. And again, I've checked everything. Yep. Hit next. And next. And next. And I'm only doing one because otherwise if I do a whole group of these ROMs, then it's going to take a while to download all the metadata, and I don't want this video to be even longer than I'm predicting it's going to be. So like I said, I don't physically have the ROM here. As you can see, that was a text file that I've just faked out in Launchbox, so it will now give me all the metadata. I can't physically run this game, there's no ROM to speak of, so alright. So it's imported this, and let me see, we've got asteroids, we've got Battle Zone. As you can see, I've got the, looks like I've got the Battle Zone clear logo in the background here. And we've got some imagery up here, so we should be good to go. So I'm going to close Launchbox. And I'm going to close this too. I think that's kind of giving you an idea of how essentially you can bring in games into Launchbox just so that you can grab the metadata and create your own custom images that you can then ship with your own theme, or if it's just for personal use, just for your own personal theme. Okay, so hopefully that's explained that process and why this utility exists. All right, so now I'll reopen the theme creator. And we'll go into arcade. And Battle Zone is now listed. I click on Battle Zone. We have a box cover here. Doesn't look like I've got a video, unfortunately. do have some images here. We do have some metadata text as far as notes are concerned, so that's cool. And I'll cover these images. I know that you can see this right now, and you're probably wondering how I'm doing this or what this means or where I'm getting those images from, and I'll explain all of that in a little bit. But anyway, I think that concludes the new create fake ROM list from the utilities submenu here from the main menu. All right. Let's see some of the other things I've added. Let me pick. Let's see. I don't know. Let's go into PlayStation 2, for example. Maybe. I can't remember. As far as metadata is concerned, let's see. I'm going to add text. Let's just put it here a second and scroll down. And it's a new metadata field that I've added. This should be Game.Rating. And let me just increase the font so you can see it. T for team, okay. Obviously I have the image version, so you can have your own ESRB rating images, but one request, again, I got from Faeran was to make the text available, and that's what I'm doing here. All right, so that's another thing that I've added. Now, actually, this is a good segue into another thing that I've just added, and it's taken a week for me to get this squared away. So, as this is a text-based UI element, and we have a font property, if you notice here, it now refers to the physical font that this is actually using. Okay, this is incredibly important, especially in distributing or publishing a theme. You want to make sure that any fonts referenced in your theme are actually bundled with your final published theme, so that when another user is utilizing your theme, those fonts that you have on your system that they may not have on their system will still work, because those fonts exist within that themes folder. They don't have to be installed on the user's machine, they just need to exist in that folder so that the theme will pick them up. This was an issue, it's been a long-running issue, where it was a hit and miss kind of problem with the final publishing of a theme, and not all the fonts were being successfully identified and therefore not necessarily copied, or some fonts were misidentified and the wrong font file was being copied, so the results were not correct. So I believe I finally cracked this. Like I said, it took me a week to figure it out, and a ton of research, which led to 0 results, and I had to come up with my own solution. But I believe I've cracked it. So like I said, as you pick a font, it identifies the physical font file associated with this font family. Okay. Now the byproduct of that is that you'll see many variations now of a given font being listed within this drop down, which is fantastic. So if you were aware, if you're a theme designer and you were aware of the fonts that are currently installed on your machine, and you couldn't see why some of these fonts were not coming up in the drop down, they should now be present. So for example here, this Calibri Light probably was not available in the previous build, but it's available here, and obviously you can now leverage these font variations. So I'm very, very happy with that. And if for whatever reason, and as you can see, you can move your mouse over the font file here, and it is reacting, because if for whatever reason there is a font out there that when you select the font name in the drop down and the corresponding font file is not correct, you do actually have the ability to left click, and if there are other variations out there, it allows you to select the correct variation. So that way, again, once you select the correct variation here, it will store it here, and then when you publish your theme, it is that font file that it will carry forward into the package theme. Okay, so I'm pretty sure, pretty certain that my font file matching logic is working, but in the off chance that it doesn't work for third-party fonts or some end user font that was created out there on the web, and there's hundreds of thousands of them, this will hopefully help you out. All right, so that's another addition that I've added recently. Well, two: the UI metadata text field for ESRB, and a little bit more control over fonts. Let's see. Now I'll exit here. I don't want to save. I want to keep this somewhat pristine. Now, a long-running request from since I've released this version out on the forum for people to try is playlists. When you select a playlist and you have a playlist and you click on the playlist, the software just spins. Not anymore. I finally fixed that. All right. So you can now. I've only got one playlist on this system. This was just purely for a test. So I'll be certainly interested to see what kind of feedback you can give me on this one. But these are all the games associated with this particular playlist, and it works just fine. Okay. So that's playlists, and then the other one, I figured if I was going to do playlists, I might as well do platform categories and do it right. So platform categories, I've got arcade, computers, console, handhelds. If I click on computers, it's going to pull. Now in BigBox, normally when you select computers, it will give you another screen to select the computer within that category. Well, I don't have another drop down to select a sub within a parent. So all I'm doing here is just simply listing all the games that are associated with this category. Okay, so I can do arcade, I can do consoles, I can do handhelds, yeah, as you can see, Game Gear and Game Boy. So that's how that's working. All right. So the main thing is those filter categories now work, which is a good thing. Let me see. So those are the new additions, and good ones. So let's go through some of the fixes. I just have 3 or 4 of them here. So let's see. We're going to go into just going to go into the editor. I want to pick let's add a UI element real quick. I want an image. Scroll down, media folder. Now it's not obvious here, but there is actually one folder that will not show up in this list, and I believe I can prove it here. There you go, this one, custom image assets. Okay, if I close that and go on the drop down, custom image assets will not show when you are creating a view. Okay, custom image assets is only applicable when you are creating your own custom images. I did not want you to inadvertently reference an image within that custom image assets folder when you're defining a view, because that subfolder does not get published. So therefore, if you were adding all these images and videos into that subfolder and you were referencing them within your views and you hit publish, then the views in BigBox would have a lot of missing images and videos and whatnot, because that subfolder would not have been migrated or copied. Okay, so just to ensure that you don't utilize that folder for views, it's not available for selection. Okay, it's only used for custom image creation, and obviously this is a view, so it will not show up. Let's see. Fix the complete font list not being displayed. Segoe UI, I've already covered fonts, and I've already covered the publishing, or the reason behind the additions that I made for fonts. Not all the fonts were being copied when a theme was published. That is hopefully being fixed now. So those are the fixes. And let's go through to the changes, which I'm really excited to go through actually. A lot of changes, and again, like I said, this is really kind of piggybacking the changes that I had implemented in the previous build, the 1060 or the 1061. So let's see. Behind the scenes, I've extended the functionality within the Theme Creators DLL to utilize a fuzzy search when looking for image metadata. And I think you can see where I'm using it here. For a better example, I'll click on Arcade. Whoops. Let's just go to Platforms and click on Arcade. And this is where I'm utilizing this fuzzy search lookup. As you can see here, I'm showing 3 screenshots, which was previously not possible. So it's actually using the title name to go and grab metadata associated with this game based on what you're looking for. So let's go into the editor real quick, and we'll click on each of these image UIs, and we can have a look at the metadata that I've used here. So screenshot game title, gameplay, game over. Now it's interesting to note here this gameplay, if you pick on gameplay 3, there could be more than one. Yep. So we have multiple gameplay images out there. Okay. And obviously I don't control what images are out there. It's whatever was downloaded via the Launchbox import and media download process. So it's whatever your system has. So there's no hard coding going on here. I just simply told this UI element to look for gameplay images using, in this case, Altered Beast, and it successfully found the appropriate images for what I was looking for. All right. So let's see. I've got my cheat sheet here. I've covered this. I just want to make sure I don't skip ahead. So we have other metadata fields available. So like I said, we've covered game over, game selection, there isn't one, game title, we have that one, gameplay 1, 2, 3, there you go, we got high scores, game over, yes. So these are the new metadata fields that you can choose from as far as a game is concerned to grab the various imagery. Okay, so I hope you like that. That was a fun one. And as we're here, I'll click on the wheel, and you know, some of the feedback with that I've received on the wheel. Obviously, one of the things is that you know, people would love to see the wheel represented in the editor so that you know what it's going to look like when you run BigBox. Well, at this point in time, it doesn't do that. In the future, I'll certainly look into it, but right now, it is what it is. I have not leveraged any of the BigBox code to make that happen at this point in time. All right, but what I have done is assisted a little bit, because the camera positioning and settings and somewhat were just text fields, and it wasn't really kind of helping, because you didn't know what value would cause the image to get smaller or bigger, and hopefully using these sliders will, you know, help you kind of figure out you know, a better setting. At least this way you can see that as the number goes up, the image is ultimately going to get smaller and then bigger when I go the opposite direction. So, you know, hopefully, you know, a little visual cue like that will help you out. I know I always forget which direction causes it to get smaller or larger. So that was another thing I had changed. Okay, now we'll get into the big one. So in 1060 and 1061, I had introduced custom images, and right on the right at the same time, Jason had released a version of BigBox 10.11, I think, that allows custom images to be utilized both at platform and the game level. Okay, so in that particular build, in my theme creation build, I was referring to these custom images as clear logos, unless I had changed the naming convention right at the last second. But its initial use case was for clear logos. Okay, well that's changed now. A lot of that has changed. So let me get into custom images, because this is a fun one and a big one. So let's get out of the view and let's get into custom images. And I have a few that I've defined at both for platforms and games, and we'll get into those in a minute. But the ones I'm leveraging for this particular test theme, and just to recap how this works, so if I click on the wheel UI, the image type, I'm telling it that I'm using custom image 3, and this is for a games view. Okay, so custom images 3 is what I'm utilizing for this particular theme by the looks of things. Okay, so custom images, and they're in pairs in this particular view. So we've got the platform version, then the game version, platform, game. This is custom image 3. This is for platforms, and this is for games. Okay, so that is what I'm utilizing for this particular theme. And I had just introduced Battlezone into the mix, and here it is. Okay, and now if I click on my main menu here and open custom images and click on custom images 3, click on platforms, click on games, then click on arcade, Battlezone will not be here, because obviously I've just imported that into Launchbox, and I have not done any rendering whatsoever, so this image does not yet exist. Okay, so we're going to fix that. I have Battlezone up. I'm going to render the selected game. It's already done. I'll toggle back. It should be in here somewhere. There it is. And as we're in this folder, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. You'll notice that the file names are no longer using a game title name. Okay, that's what they were. That's how it's currently being generated in the build out on the forum 1061. It's using the game title in the file name here. But this version going forward, and in addition with the new version of BigBox, custom images are essentially going to be looked at two different ways. The first way is using the Launchbox database ID, which is this. And if you recall, when I generated my fake ROM list, inside the text file, I actually stored or captured the Launchbox database ID. Again, that was just for your information only. It serves no purpose in the import process, just so that you know what the associated Launchbox database ID is or will be when you get to rendering. Okay. So this is the Launchbox database ID that's used. If for whatever reason you've imported some ROMs and they're not yet known to Launchbox, Obviously it cannot assign a Launchbox database ID, but don't worry. The fallback is it will then render that image, and its file name will now become the game title name, okay? And BigBox has also been modified to do this two-hit search. First one using Launchbox database ID, no hit. Then it will perform a game title name lookup. Okay, so don't fear. There's two lookups for trying to acquire a custom image for a game. All right, so this is quite a major change, and it's awesome. It's well, what Jason has done with BigBox is awesome, and what he's allowed us to do is truly wonderful. So so anyway, rendering and the final rendered name, that's what it will be going forward. Which is and I just want to kind of hit this one home. The reason for this is it allows things to be consistent. So if you wanted to share your images, your entire game collection, your entire game collection spanning multiple platforms, and you put it out there, well, if people like what you've done with your images and they download them, they'll be guaranteed to work, okay, because of the Launchbox database ID. It's a known, consistent value, whereas a game title can differ from one user's machine to another, and therefore trying to acquire that image may fail, and you won't get consistent results. This will create consistency, so it's a wonderful thing. It's perfect. So I think I've covered this one, but one of the major takeaways here is on the current build, the one that's out there, 1061, I allow 4 pairs of custom images to be created. 4 for platform, 4 for game. And a user on the forum, Retrofrogg or Semfundog, he had asked if I could up it to, I think, 6. And I'm like, if I'm upping it to 6, I might as well up it to 9. So that's what I've done. I've allowed up to 9 different platform images to be defined for a theme, and 9 for game. And like I said, initially I was looking at using this for clear logos, but no, you can actually create whatever you want, okay? And I'll give you an example right now. So I was messing around with marquees, and so I was on the forum and I was looking at the some of the marquee images out there just to see what was out there, and I believe it was Retro 808. I was having a look at some of the stuff that he had put together, and and I saw this little peel effect going on, and I really liked that. So I wanted to have a crack at doing that, and my graphic skills are awful. I can finally get there, but it will take me a great deal of time to get there. But I nonetheless I persevered, and I think I got the desired result, and I'm very happy with this little test that I kind of put together. So let me just cover this, because it's actually going to cover a couple of things that I've changed, and hopefully you'll like what I've done here. All right, so like I said, initially the use case for the custom image creation was clear logos, but we can take it way beyond that and use it for other stuff, and marquees was another good use case for custom image creation. So I'm going to pick a I'm going to pick a different platform. Okay, so PlayStation. Now, as you can see, I've got configuration present at all three levels here. One for the theme, one for this platform, and one for this specific game. All right, and I can go down through this list, sure. And as you can see, some configuration for the game is not present, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just recap how this works. So it's a hierarchy thing. So what you can do, you can set up your initial template for the platform. All right, so I'm going to hit edit. And the first thing I've done here is the background is no longer black. Okay, so you're focusing purely on the canvas area. And if I click on this fan art UI like so and move it around, it's moving within the canvas area only. So now you can only see the canvas area that you've defined right here, okay, which is this quite wide canvas spot. So this should really help you see right off the bat what your image is going to look like, instead of this spillover of multiple images, and you're trying to understand how all this stuff is going to be kind of put together. Anyway, this should help a great deal. All right, and also when you are editing custom images, this canvas lock, which you may or may not have used, is disabled when you go in to edit a custom image. That allows you to move an image off screen. Okay? By having canvas lock enabled, actually it's disabled. You can't enable it. But if you were to enable that when you are, or when it's enabled when you're editing a regular view, you would be restricted like so. You would not be able to move an object off screen, okay? Unless you uncheck it, and then you can do this. So anyway, that was one of the things, dead easy thing. I just figured, again, it just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to remember. It's just going to set it up that way, and then you've got full range to do whatever you want with these images, and you can have them placed off screen and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so for this particular template at the platform level, this is how I had set it up. So as you can see in the background, I've got the fan art, I have the CD or the media, all right, I have the box, I've got the clear logo, and then I have these custom image assets. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, the custom image assets folder is not available for selection when you're editing a regular view, but it obviously is available to you when you are creating custom images, because obviously this stuff is a static image that you're ultimately rendering, so therefore you don't need to have this stuff copied, these assets, you don't need this stuff copied forward to your published theme. So these are some of the images that I built on my Mac, and after I kind of figured out how I wanted this to look and how it should be layered and work. Okay, so I'm leveraging all of these images to create this peel effect, and I probably over engineered it but you know, like I said, I'm kind of happy with the result. So anyway, I've set up this particular template, and I'll just discard these changes. And then once you've got this template at the theme level, you now have to see how it's going to operate with each of the different platforms. And in my case, I wanted PlayStation 1 to have this light gray color, okay, versus Sega 32X, for example. So if I hit platform for Sega 32X, as you can see, I've got this yellow peel background, okay, instead of the gray for PlayStation 1. All right, and if I hit Sony PSP, for example, and platform, I've got this blue background and with the blue peel. So I took the general template from the top, like so, okay, with general placement, and I just simply copied from the theme level, and then just selected my platform up here, and I could go into, have I done Windows? Have I done Windows? I've done Windows. Have I done Wii U? I know I did a few. I did Wii U already. Scum VM, did I do that? It looks like I did. I did a few. I know I didn't do them all. Sega Genesis, let me see. Did I do this one? Looks like I have done more than I thought. ColecoVision? Maybe I did them all. Yeah, okay, all right. So it looks like I've at least gone through at the platform level the color schemes I want, just so that they stand out from one another, okay? And again, you know, I didn't have, as you can see, I did not have multiple color variations for the peel, okay? This is kind of a cool thing to do. So for example, let's have a look at peel color, and what it is here is actually using, if I remove the name, it's actually a rectangle, and then I've applied a mask to it. So now the rectangle takes on the shape of the image that I had specified here, this color mask, okay? What that allows me to do is, because it's a rectangle and I can specify a color, it's taken on the shape of the mask, but now I can change the color to whatever I want. So, so for example, I can go in with my color picker and I can say, hey, I want this bright yellow, okay? And then I can click on, well, actually, the way you would do it is right click, copy, right click on the peel, and then paste foreground, and it would paste the same color into that. And the way that it's been layered, you still get the shadow being cast over the top of the clear logo, and the color peel is obviously present. There is shadow on the peel itself, and then underneath the peel it's generating a shadow. So there's an awful lot going on, but it was, you know, once I kind of figured out the technique, this gives me a lot of flexibility because I don't have to generate custom peel colors based on the different platforms. I can control the color scheme here. I can even apply a gradient if I wanted to. So I thought that was kind of neat. I hope you like it. So that's where I took it to the next level, where I had the theme level, and then with platform, and with that I kind of repositioned the platform clear logo, made it a little bit bigger but still hidden underneath the peel, and changed the color scheme a little bit so that all games rendered for that particular platform would all have that color scheme and layout. But because these are using you know, a lot of fan art imagery, and there's a lot of inconsistency, you can't control where certain parts of the image are going to show. So if it has characters' faces, for example, they might be showing off screen, either at the bottom or the top or off the side and whatnot. So that's where you would leverage a game level configuration just to make it look correct. Okay, so what I'll do, let's go into 32x, for example. Okay, so this is generally, you know, this is what these games would look like for 32x. So let me just go through them. Some don't even have fan art, and what I've done, I've kind of cheated. I took like the box cover and blurred it and put it behind the fan art. So if there is no fan art, at least you'll get some kind of coloration, some kind of imagery underneath, but it's blurred. But that's okay, at least you've got some kind of color difference. Now, as I was mentioning, as you can see, this character here, his head is missing, okay? And this one too, and that's at the platform level. So what I had to do was I essentially did a copy, pasted, or maybe I was working on this one. I pasted to, you know, the game level, and I'll do that now so I can fix it. And I simply went into edit, and this is, what is this? This is fan art. And just like with the other metadata fields, such as game over, game select title, gameplay 1, 2, and 3, I've also allowed where you can cycle through different fan art images, and as you can see, you can grab them. Okay. Not all games have fan art, and certainly not all games have as many fan art images as this, but this gives you the ability to at least try and grab whatever's out there. So let me just move that here, and let's just play around with this a little bit and just see what we can get. I don't know if this is really going to help, but it's probably it's probably better than it was. Well, as it's a Knuckles game, Knuckles really should have the spotlight there, but I will at least do something like that. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, so all I was doing there was just simply resizing and positioning the fan art. I had chosen a different fan art image to use for this particular game. I hit save, and that's what it will use when it will render. Essentially, that's what it was before. Okay, and I don't like that. This is what it will use. All right. So let me just go through some of the changes here for the custom image editor, just make sure I've captured everything. All right, so I've captured everything that you're kind of somewhat familiar with. Obviously, some of the niceties within the custom image creator itself is new to this version. But let's take it another level. Let's go to what was I going to do? What was I going to show you? Yeah, let's go to these custom images that I was kind of putting together. I think I've got some examples here. So again, we're back to clear logos, and again I'm going to piggyback on what I was mentioning earlier, is that you now have the ability to use these filters, platform categories and playlists. So if I click on platform categories and do I have any? I didn't build any. How come I didn't build any for this? Not to worry. Not to worry, not to worry. So let's do it. I'm gonna copy it here, and I'm gonna go into platform categories, and I'm gonna put one here. Okay. Now again, it's used the template that I was leveraging at the platform level, okay? But let's change this up. So now you could add a custom image, you know, to represent a generic arcade machine. What we're going to do could be something as simple as I'm adding text, and let's see. I think I added another metadata field for this. I could be very wrong. I haven't done that yet. I thought I did for titles. No. Okay, not a problem. So constant value, and what was this? Was this arcade? And then centered. I guess we can make it bigger. And I'm going to leverage the same shadow settings. Okay. Just gives you an idea. So now you can actually create your, in this example, you can now create your clear logos for your platform categories. Okay? Computers, consoles, handhelds, and whatnot. Just change this out and change the images. And the same is true for playlist. So obviously I was messing around with this here using custom playlist image 3, because that is custom images 3 is what I'm leveraging for this particular test theme. So and as I have one playlist only, I built, you know, just made this configuration available for this, and that was it. So yeah, now you can create playlist custom logos, or various images, marquees, or what have you, for platform categories and playlists, platforms and games. I mean, it's endless. Let's see. So image UI to allow images by game name, allow for custom images, publish theme. Okay. Okay. So let me go back to platforms. I want to go back to Sega 32X. Do I want to go? You know what? I want to go to arcade for this particular thing, because what I want to do, even though that I had actually rendered Battlezone, there is one thing I do want to show you. Which I did not show in a previous video when I was showing you the whole rendering of custom images and stuff. I totally forgot to show you this, and I thought it was kind of neat. So when you render, I'm going to render all games for the selected platform. So there's about, I don't know how many that is, 20, less than 20. I'm going to render, right? Now the rendering window itself has changed a little bit. I'm going to do this, you know what, I want a big list. I'm going to say, you know what, I want to render my entire collection. So the first thing it does, it builds a list. Now it's processing that list, okay? Now, as you can see, my collection is 5,523 games. So this is going to take a while. It should take about 37 minutes, but for whatever reason, let's say I need to power off my machine and I'm going to be away or what have you. I certainly don't want to lose, I certainly don't want to start from the very beginning, okay? So I can hit the escape key or I can hit the cancel button, and as soon as I do that, you get this exclamation mark in here, and it says rendering of custom images was interrupted. Click here to continue or cancel. So when I click the exclamation, it says, would you like to continue rendering custom images? If I say yes, as you can see, it continued from what, game 129, 130? So it remembered where it was, and it will continue from that point forward. So again, if your collection is quite extensive and you don't really want to keep your PC on overnight, and you'd rather have it, doing its thing while you're around, that's fine. Again, just hit the escape key when you wanted to power down your machine, or if you inadvertently close this application, makes no difference. It still knows where it was at the time of rendering being cancelled. So you get that option of spinning back up at the same point. And I'm going to hit escape. You get the warning. I don't wish to continue. I say no. And now the exclamation is gone. I won't be notified, and there is no restart point now. Okay? So that was something I should have covered in a previous video, and I never did. And I thought it was kind of a cool thing. And I still think it's a cool thing. It's a very useful feature. I don't want people to think, oh no, I'm rendering all my games and I better leave my computer on overnight. And you don't have to, okay? You don't have to. So I just wanted to, this wasn't a change I made now. I did change the render screen a little bit. But other than that, this whole restart at previous cancellation point, that's currently out there in the build that you have right now in 106.1. All right, I just forgot to tell you, so my apologies for that. So let's look at some of these images here that I was focusing on for this particular theme. Custom image 3 for games, and then custom images for platform. All right, and we can spin through the various platform images here. Okay, some of which are, that's rather dark. That one's pretty good. So let me re-render this one. All platforms, selected platform. Okay, I've re-rendered that one. I think the one that I had prior, it was kind of black on a very dark background, and you really couldn't see the clear logo. So what you can do now is I'm gonna edit this game view, and I am going to add an image. Scroll down, and it's metadata. And what I'm interested in, I want to see my custom game image. In this case, I'm using custom game image 3, and there it is. Now, obviously, I'm using this in the wheel itself, but you may want to do some trickery where the selected wheel, maybe you're going to show this as the selected image, you know, over the top. If you're going to do something like that, I've seen it done before with some of these wheels. But if it wasn't, in this case, you know, obviously I was using this as a clear logo, but this could very well be a marquee. All right, so I don't know, let's see, did I actually do and as you can see, I haven't extended this to custom game image 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and platform image 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and I will fix that because they should be there. So that's the game custom image 3 that I was showing, and I'm going to copy this, paste, and then I'm going to choose custom platform image 3, and there's the associated platform image that I had rendered earlier, and I think it pulled in some random game to be used in the background, and unfortunately that random game has a dark background, so I'll have to change, either tell it not to do a random game, but anyway, that's what it was doing, that's why it's so dark. So that's how you can build images. So if you've built a collection of marquees, you can now reference them. You can drop them on your view, size them, position them wherever, and that's how you can do it. Obviously, you can reference in your wheel the custom image to use, but as you can see, you can now take a regular image and reference a custom image for display up here. And if I hit save and scroll down through the list, as you can see, it's being updated. And if I pick a different platform, the platform too is being updated, which I would expect. But there you go. I think that'll be very, very useful. So that, you know, extends the functionality of the custom image creator, and then just not limiting the use of that to wheels. You can use it for anything you want. And like I said, you've got 9 platform, 9 game, and obviously you've got 9 platform categories and 9 playlist variations that you can mess around with and build images for. Let's see. Publish theme. Okay, so we're getting into, the whole publishing, but there's a couple of things I wish to share with you, and I'm going to go back to my plain and simple before I do any publishing of themes and whatnot, because a lot of that is kind of behind the scenes, but I still think you'll kind of appreciate some of the minor changes that go on there. But let me see. Another big thing was the text list for games, and as you can see here, you can now center the list. So if I click on the wheel, you can now change the alignment of the list. Left, which you've known it to be left aligned all this time, center, and right aligned if you so wish. Okay. The other thing that I've added is the ability to uppercase the content, or all caps, right? Or maybe you want everything lowercase, or maybe you want no conversion whatsoever and just leave it as it is, which this is what it currently looks like in the build that you have today. All right, so it's entirely up to you how you want this list to look. All right, you may want it to be that and that. Okay, and we'll see all this running in BigBox in a little bit. All right, but that was another cool change that was made. I was able to figure it out 2 weeks ago, I think now. Time escapes me, but that's done. Let's see. Yeah, we're really getting down to publishing, so, and that's cool. We're actually almost done with this now. So I won't save that because that's what it was. Let me see. Let me jump back to test theme a second. No, there was nothing there. Let me go to plain and simple. So I didn't have a wall view, but one of the things that someone from the forum by the name of the name is escaping me right now, Drodrick, he was asking why the wall view wasn't allowing videos to be played. I thought wall view didn't support that, so I tried it and it does. So I have now made selected item videos to be available within the wall view. Alright, so that was my bad, not keeping up on what's allowed, what's not allowed within BigBox. So that's changed. So let's get to the publishing. I'm going to delete this because I don't use the wall view for this theme. So there were two themes that I was messing with. This one, because I was showing the centered games list in uppercase. So I'm going to publish this one. Publishing is now faster, runs in the background. You can move the window around, minimize it, maximize it, do whatever you want. It doesn't interfere with publishing now. Again, it's still leveraging the dedicated thread, background thread for this stuff. So that's cool. So let me go to, that was plain and simple, and then the other one was the test theme. Because within here, earlier I had introduced, whoops, for custom images 3, I had introduced Battle Zone into the mix, right? There it is, which currently does not exist in my publish theme. So now I want to republish my theme. So for any rendered games or platforms or platform categories or playlists or what have you, the images will exist here. They'll be copied forward into the final theme. And while we're here, those were games. Here are the platforms. Here are the playlists. As you can see, we have this. And if I had rendered any platform categories in this custom image 3, they would have popped up in a subfolder here, platform categories. Okay, but I didn't do that for custom image 3. I think I did it for, I don't know, custom image 4 or 5 or custom image 1. So that's why it's not showing up here. In fact, let me just, there you go. I did it for custom image 1, so it actually created a subfolder ready to receive that. Okay, cool. Yep. All right, so without further ado, let's go with this one. There's an awful lot of images that it's going to copy forward. I believe I rendered my entire collection, so that's 5,523 images. It's going to essentially copy from my design project to the finalized theme. So let's give this a whirl. So I've now changed the status to let you know exactly what it's doing at every step. So this step, copying custom images, is clearly going to take the longest of all the steps while publishing the theme, because like I just mentioned, over 5,500 PNG files is copying from this location to the finalized theme folder. And we're done. So now for the fun part, we actually get to see the fruits of our labor in BigBox. And again, you know, this is the beta version of BigBox, but I know Jason's working very hard to finalize this particular version and get it out there. And when he does, I'll be right on his heels with a new build. May not be this build, it might be a slightly newer build, because there's still some other items I'm trying to fix for you guys, but it will be the latest build of this theme creator that will support all the features that Jason's put in, plus everything that I've talked about within this video. Alright, so let's get into BigBox. All right, and let's see, arcade was where I made a change here, and where was it? It was, oh, Battle Zone did pop up. I thought I had to go and refresh the image cache, but I lucked out. And as you can see in the top left there, to the left of the video or static video image. Battlezone and Arcade is being displayed. Like I mentioned, again, they're custom images I'm using for the wheel, but I've called them out specifically as images in that area. So this could very well have been a marquee that I was using. As you can see, I'm using the title, gameplay, and game over images at the bottom. And Arcade is a perfect example of using those. I think I did notice it on some others. Was it 32x? Don't recall. Yeah, there's some gameplay. Yeah, there you go. Title, gameplay, and game over. Again, you know, these are end user curated images. It's not consistent. Not every game has this combination of images. It's, you know, it's like with most things. It's whatever games that they truly like, and they want to make sure that metadata imagery exists for those games that they like. So it's going to hit and miss. But you know, you're more than obviously welcome to try and pull these images from your collection and make them visible now. Yeah. And then we'll go to the options screen and excuse me, go to playlists, and I think this is where I need to refresh my image cache. I don't recall. Or no, the PNG is there. I see the gradient border. I just didn't put any kind of fancy background behind it. And obviously the text alone, yeah, that's my text. It's not BigBox generating that. So it is showing my custom PNG. It's just not very fancy. It was just for demonstration purposes that, you know, you can have a playlist custom clear logo popping up. And obviously the only things that are missing here would be the I did one for Steam, because that exists as a platform, which is also recognized as a platform category. So if I had gone ahead and created all the other ones for the various categories, I believe Arcade should be there. So I guess if I refresh, is it refresh all, or I don't know if it's refresh platform. Can never remember. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, so yeah, I need the arcade platform category in the platform categories folder in order for this to work. Obviously, I must have done one for Steam then. All right. So that was what view? This was my test theme. Okay, so let me go to plain and simple. View. Okay, cool. Let's see. Cancels. Let's just go to view by platform. I don't remember if I use custom images or not for this, so just bear with me. Image cache, refresh platform, we refresh game, refresh all. I don't know, I don't remember. Let's view by platforms. Yeah, obviously I wasn't using any custom here. So let's advance through the different views here. So there's our filter. Let's go into the game view. We've got 3 different color variants. go to the text view. And there you go. There's your centralized game list. And you can still filter. It just pushes the centered text over just a little bit, just to allow the filter column to show up. Let's go to what's got some really long names. Neo Geo. There you go. That's a great example. So as you can see, you can already see trimming in effect there on the very first game at the top of the list. Spirit ... column, the search column or search index is introduced, pushing things over to the right. More items in the list being trimmed. Remove the search index, goes away, comes back. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And again, it's in uppercase and it's centered, so you know, again, it's just more personalization that you can apply to your views. And I think that was the only thing that I had changed, or at least made available on this particular theme, was just to this view, the text games view. But yeah, that's I believe that is it. It's a lot of changes, and with those changes, a lot of new functionality, a lot of fixes, that I know some of you guys have been calling out or crying out for a while now, and hopefully, you know, this will satisfy your requests. And you know, like I said, I'll change the metadata values to recognize up to 9 images for various things, because it's still within the metadata selection. It's still only allowing up to 4, even though that you can create 9. I'll fix that obviously before it's released, but other than that, hopefully I think you can see that, you know, you can do an awful lot with this now, not just specifically creating a theme, but you know, components outside of that. Anyway, that's where we're at. Like I said, this should be released in a week or two, and that's really kind of based on when Jason releases Launchbox 10.12. So I'm kind of playing it by ear. If I have time to fix some other stuff, I'll try and get them in there, but I don't want to kind of risk taking something that could extend the release of this particular build. So, you know, for the most part, it's ready to go. Just a couple of tweaks to make here and there, so it's ready for you guys. All right. So hopefully you like what you've seen, or at least certain aspects of this that you've been waiting for. And you know, I really can't wait for you guys to try it. It's you know, I'm in close contact with a couple of guys that are kind of helping me test this out, and seeing what they're coming up with is absolutely mind-blowing. So I can only imagine what you know, the general community could potentially do with this, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. So we'll leave it at that. Again, stay safe, stay healthy, and reach out again in a week or two when BigBox gets released. But up until then, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.